my name is Harrison Angel, and I'm here to interview Roy MacGregor. He is the author of many adult books and kids' books, and he is also the author of a kids' book series called The Screech Owls. And I'm here to interview him on the book Secret of the Deep Woods. And he has also helped uncover the mystery of Tom Thomson. Okay.
Hi, Harrison.
Hi. What gave you the idea to write the Screech Owl series?
It wasn't my idea. It was a publisher came to me and he said, we hear from librarians and teachers all the time about this thing called the reluctant reader. Now, sometimes words are used to mean other things. Reluctant reader really means boys. Boys don't read. So his argument was that boys love hockey. And he said, we think if you did a series of hockey books, it would have a good market out there for readership and literacy. And I thought about it for a long time, and it had been 50 years since anyone had done a hockey series in this country. The previous one was done by a writer called Scott Young, and they've been quite famous and well received. I look back at them when they were all about hockey, and I thought hockey's not enough. So I added in two elements, which I think were really critical. One was mystery, that will keep people turning the pages. I didn't know if I could write a mystery though. And then the other one was adventure, like going to different places. I know how silly it is to have a pee-wee hockey team going all over the world, but I don't care. I just pretend they have the biggest bottle drives on earth and send them all over, but only to places I've been, so that every single Screech Owls book has been personally researched by me for location.
So you have been to locations. So
yeah, everyone.
Really. So how did you name the Screech Owl? How did you name the characters in the Screech Owls? Are they named after anyone you know?
Good question. The Screech Owls themselves I came up with because I started thinking about team names, and so many team names are based on birds or animals and that. And so I started looking around. The word screech caught my eye and ear because I thought kids won't forget that. So I called them the Screech Owls. And then when I started coming up with the kids' names, I did the oldest trick in the book. I turned to the telephone book, and I would just open the telephone book at a random page and kind of stab and maybe come to Nishikawa, for example. And then I shortened it to Nish. And the names are all chosen that way, but the personalities are all taken from kids I've known.
Why does Nish always have to be the center of attention?
He's by far the most popular character, and I hadn't anticipated that. He's the one that the kids just love. Now, I've only had, there's been over 1 million copies of the Screech Owls sold in Canada alone. And I have had 2 complaints. One was from a teacher who said that the books would be far better if they had no niche in them. And her argument was that he sends a bad example out to people and he gets in trouble. And then she said, and this absolutely floored me, she said, I have 5 Nishikawas in my own class. To my answer was, well, then he's reality. And I said, besides, if you would sit down and read the books, Nish has a heart of gold. Nish also has Sarah who pokes holes in all the stupid things that he does. Nish is a good friend when push comes to shove, and Nish learns lessons. He's pivotal to the books.
Now, who or what inspires you to write?
I think it's partly heritage. I have a lot of Irish in me, and Irish are renowned for their storytelling, and maybe there's nothing I can do about that. My mother could tell stories and would often exaggerate, so that being one of her kids, our attitude was, whatever Mom said, you cut it in half and you're around the truth. She was very Irish. And my dad was the world's greatest leader. My dad lived a very strange life. He lived in the bush all of his entire life. And he was the best read person I ever met. And he just read every book imaginable and loved books and loved libraries and collected books. which he didn't keep nicely. He just collected them, gave them away. But his love of books led to me to have a love of reading, and I think out of reading came the interest in writing.
How long have you been writing books for?
Well, you're 10 years old, long before you were born. I wrote my first book in 1980, which is 30 years ago now. And I thought if I ever wrote one book, that would be good. But now if you include the Screechellows this year with that book on Tom Thompson that you mentioned, that's my 40th book. Too many, I know. I've written more books than I've read. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Do you enjoy writing kids' books
Yes.
or adult books?
Well, as I said earlier, the kids' books weren't my idea. I lived my whole life never thinking that I would write a kids' book because it never occurred to me. Then after I had written them and I saw the response and I started going to the odd school and talking to kids, I found out that there was more enjoyment in doing that than anything that I had ever done. And that kids' readers and adult readers are an entirely different creation. Adult readers read books and tend to forget them. Kids read and read and read and reread books. And so that I can go to a class and people will know the books and the Screechellows better than I know them myself.
Now, I'm going to move on to a question specific about the book.
Yes?
Okay. Why are there First Nations, Rachel Highboy, and Japanese Canadians, Wayne Nishikawa, or Nish, in The Secret of the Deep Woods?
Well, when I began the first books, I thought I had to make up a team. And so I thought, well, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to make the best player of the team a girl. And do you know how many complaints I've had about that from boy readers? Zero, never a one. And then I thought, well, I'm going to make it a United Nations team because Canada is very much a United Nations kind of country. We have kids from all over the world here. Now, I didn't grow up in that kind of an atmosphere. Kids in my school all kind of looked and sounded like me, so it's what I'm talking about is your generation and my kids' generation. That they had kids from all over the world that they were in touch with, so I would bring in someone who had a Middle East background or a Scandinavian background. And because I have written about Aboriginals, natives in Canada all my life, and I'm deeply involved with them, I made sure that I had Aboriginal kids in there. And my favorite of the Screechellows books probably is the Screechellows Northern Adventure, where they go off to this village in James Bay, which I've spent a lot of time at. And in that school, this is Willow, by the way, who's making a guest appearance for a moment. In the school up in this village called Waskaganish, they use the Screechellows to teach the kids at times, so it's really nice for me. And so that my next door neighbor here in Ottawa, the kids are half Japanese, and Wayne Nishikawa is very much modeled on the fellow who lives right next door to me. I don't know whether I should say his name, but I will. Justin Ikura lives next door to me, and he knows that he's the model for Nish. He likes it.
That's good. Now, in The Secret of the Deep Woods, why is The Secret of the Deep Woods about a Toronto Maple Leafs player and not a Sens player or a Boston Bruins player?
Because it's based on a true story that in 1951, Bill Barilko, who had been a rookie in the Toronto Maple Leafs, scored the winning goal in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
And crashed his plane.
Yeah. And then he went off on a fishing trip up to Waskaganish, then called Rupert House. And on the way back from that fishing trip to that Cree village I spoke about a moment ago, they crashed. And the plane was not found for 11 years.
10.
10 years? You know, one of the kids who know the books better than I do then. And 10 years later, guess what happens? The Toronto Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup again.
When his body was found.
Yeah.
So
Very
you did
good.
base the story on the billboard.
Yeah, I base all the books on certain truths.
And why does Nish not work hard until something really serious happens?
Because he's a lazy little... I better not say. I mean, that's the problem with Nish. Nish is like a lot of kids. He's lazy. He's self-obsessed. He's a braggart. He's insensitive. He's silly. He's stupid. And he's also wonderful. And, you know, I believe that about kids, that we all have flaws and we all have to learn from them. And I like to think Nish learns lessons, but my goodness, he has a lot of lessons he has to learn. I love Nish, by the way.
And in the book, The Legend of Slewfoot is about a guy who hurts his foot in a canoeing accident, and then after drags it around and takes foods from people. He's almost like a ghost or anything. Did you make up the legend?
No. If you talk to campers, almost very famous, a lot of kids from Ottawa go there. They're a wonderful camp. These are the kind of stories that get told around campfires at camps. And so Slewfoot is basically a story that virtually every camper kid has heard, which certainly suggests there is no Slewfoot. It's just a good story.
And why do Nish, Travis, Sarah, Fad, and Rachel go into the woods? Why not anybody else?
I had to. It could have been anyone else, but I had to pare it down simply for plot purposes. That's my dog howling in the background. Don't worry about that. I wanted to. You can make a better story using 5 or 6 characters than you can using the 18 or 15 that might be on a team. So I was I had to pick and choose, and so I had to have the characters who were pivotal to every book: Sarah, Travis, Nish, and then I just picked and choose among the others.
And what is the wolf? The wolf appears 2 times in this book. What has he got to do with it?
I think that the wolf in, if I may use a big word, mythology, and in Canadian nature mythology, the wolf is a very unusual creature. In Native mythology, it's a spirit. And so I put him in the book as something that is not explained. And so the reader can make anything that the reader wishes to make of the wolf's appearance. Is the wolf just a curious wolf? Probably. Is the wolf something else? Is he looking? Is he checking? And the reader, yourself, you're welcome to make anything you wish of it, because wolves are mysterious. I've run into them in the woods. I don't understand them, but they fascinate me, and I just put them in there as a fascinating subplot.
This book was the 17th book in the Screech Owl series out of 22. Will there ever be another book in the Screech Owl series?
I'm beginning to think so. I quit after 20, and then I did the others. But I'm thinking about going back at it again. Now, partly it's for selfish reasons, and partly it's for good reasons. The selfish reason is that the publisher seems to have let the series slack off. They don't push it. It's not in a lot of stores anymore. So it's almost like I jump-started again. And the good reason is that I think I have enough evidence in letters from parents and from teachers about how it has inspired their kid to read for the first time, usually boys, but not always boys. And I think they serve a great purpose in terms of getting people reading. So I want them out there.
Thank you, Roy MacGregor, for taking your time out of your day to do this interview about the Screech Owls.
And thank you, Harrison. I think you did an excellent job of interviewing. One of the best interviews ever.
Thank you. This is Harrison Angel. Out.